Since gaining independence in 2002, Timor-Leste has been walking a long road, a road that has tested its resilience, demanded sacrifice, and shaped its identity on the global stage. Along this journey, one country has stood close by, lending support in security, education, and institution building: Malaysia. Malaysia was the very first ASEAN nation to establish its embassy here in Dili, a clear sign of trust and friendship. And now, as Timor-Leste takes a historic step forward into ASEAN, Malaysia's role remains just as significant. Joining us is His Excellency Amarjit Singh Sajid Singh, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Malaysia to Timor-Leste. He is to share not only the story of Malaysia's contributions, but also his vision for what lies ahead, for our two nations and for Timor-Leste's place within ASEAN. This is Dalan ASEAN. I'm Dignas Raum, and today we explore how diplomacy, cooperation, and shared goals are shaping Timor-Leste's future. Your Excellencies, we thank you very much for taking the time to be with us here at the ASEAN Hall at the Presidential Palace.
Thank you, Linda. Nice to meet you.
I'd like to start off by asking, Mr. Ambassador, what did it mean to you personally when you were appointed as Malaysia's ambassador to Timor-Leste?
For me, when I got news of my assignment or Timor-Leste as my next assignment, it was a surreal feeling because as a student, I used to follow what was happening in Timor-Leste in the 90s and the early 2000s. And I did not realize that one day I will be the ambassador to this beautiful country. So for me, it was a sense of, well, and you can say it's like a deja vu, perhaps, to be here. But I was already warned that we will have a lot of work to do because Timor-Leste was on the road towards ASEAN. And so I was very happy and to start my assignment here and to act as a bridge between Timor-Leste and Malaysia.
Could you share with us your roles and responsibilities here in Dili and how they contribute to strengthening the two nations?
Well, as ambassador, primarily, we are the main interlocutor between the governments of both countries. Aside from the traditional areas of cooperation that we have been engaged with, we now look into new areas and, considering ASEAN membership. One of my first tasks was to look at, or rather to conduct a needs assessment on what Timor-Leste needs. Because it was different before. We had assisted primarily with military hardware, and now on the cusp of ASEAN membership, you have a different set of needs, and so much of our work has been focused on providing capacity building for Timorese officials in order to get them ready, not only the steps towards joining ASEAN, but most importantly, what happens after joining ASEAN. So other than ASEAN, other than capacity building, we continue to promote healthy people-to-people contact. And one of the achievements, I would think, during my time is seeing the first direct flight, scheduled direct flight between Malaysia, between Kuala Lumpur and Dili, that started on 6 June with the twice weekly frequency flown by Batik Air. We have brought the peoples of both countries closer, and this has also now brought in a greater degree of the engagement between the private sectors of both countries. And going forward, I think we will have to focus. Now we have a lot of work to do because many Malaysian people, Malaysian business people, the private sector are coming, and Malaysia is also benefiting because we have now bigger numbers of Timorese flying into Kuala Lumpur, primarily for tourism and healthcare-related matters.
Well, looking back, how would you describe the journey of Malaysia and Timor-Leste's relations since its independence, and what opportunities do you see ahead?
if we look back, I think the older generation will be very privy to the state of relations that we had. There is a very well, rather Malaysian and particularly our military continues to be held in high esteem both by the leadership of country as well as the people of Timor-Leste. They regard our presence here. We were one of the first countries to land boots in Timor-Leste after a political decision was taken. The younger generation, to me, seems to be a bit lost as to what is this special relationship with Malaysia. And so as an embassy, we have conducted and continue to conduct some outreach programs for us to introduce Malaysia to the younger generation. Going forward, I would think that there will be bigger numbers of students, Timorese students pursuing higher education at Malaysian universities. I hope sincerely that the healthcare system in Timor-Leste improves. But until that happens, we are more than happy to assist in treating patients at our renowned hospitals in Malaysia as well.
And how do you engage with Timor-Leste's institutions to build a stronger cooperation and trust?
I think our relationship with Timorese institutions, be it government agencies, be it semi-government, private sector, think tanks, institutions, has been very good. I maintain an open door policy and I maintain a very high level of visibility. So no event is too big or too small for me, as long as there is an opportunity for us to show Malaysia's support and also explore new areas of cooperation. We will be at the event and we want to be involved to see how else we can contribute, because ours has been a story of well, maybe it's a love story between Malaysia and Timor-Leste. We've been in love since even before independence, and we continue to be in love even after independence. Now going towards ASEAN, even after ASEAN accession, it will continue, because we are strong believers that the region should be peaceful, should be prosperous, and we always believe that we must help our neighbors. So I foresee a very promising time ahead for Timor-Leste.
And with that being said, what has your experience been like working alongside other ASEAN ambassadors here in Delhi?
The ASEAN Ambassadors Group is a very dynamic group, a very happening group, if I can say. I've been very fortunate to have a group of colleagues who maintain with the ASEAN spirit an open channel of communication. We communicate very frequently, almost on a daily basis, on what's going on and and what else needs to be done, and we exchange information and have a lot of events. In fact, this year itself, in conjunction with the Malaysian Expo that happened from 9th to 10th of May, we got together. My ASEAN colleagues were very supportive. We had an ASEAN Bazaar for the first time. So we've been looking at ways how we can increase the information in the eyes of the public about ASEAN and what it stands. We don't want ASEAN to be seen as some being which is so abstract and detached from reality and from the people. I think to a certain extent, together with MANEC and the government agencies in Timor-Leste, I think we have done pretty well in bringing ASEAN to the people.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, going back, down memory lane, Malaysia was the first ASEAN nation to establish its liaison office here in Delhi on the 13th of April, 2001. And so I'd like to know, how did Malaysia view Timor-Leste's historic entry into ASEAN?
I think for us, it was just a matter of time before Timor-Leste will be a member of ASEAN. I mean, geographically, how can half an island be ASEAN and the other half not be ASEAN? But ASEAN is a very interesting organization. I think primarily it rests on geography. If you are geographically part of the region, you're almost there. But I think what is more important is to demonstrate will and capability to integrate with the region. And so to me, it was only natural that Timor-Leste was granted observer status and now on the road to full ASEAN membership by the end of October.
And what role has Malaysia played in supporting Timor-Leste from its application process up to, well, earning a full ASEAN membership next month?
Well, I would think capacity building is the hallmark of our involvement in Timor-Leste's readiness to join ASEAN. Under the Malaysian Technical Cooperation Program, MTCP, we have thus far trained slightly above 1,000 Timorese officials in a variety of areas through short-term and medium-term courses. To be precise, in the last 2 years alone, we have trained close to 500 Timorese officials in niche areas which we identified after needs assessment. And this includes, English, negotiation skills, diplomacy, land systems, and the like. So I would say capacity building is the our main contribution to Timor-Leste's road towards joining ASEAN. In addition to that, we contributed $200,000 US for the setting up of the Timor-Leste unit within the ASEAN Secretariat in Jakarta. Before the last summit in Kuala Lumpur in May, we also received 13 Timorese officials through a very practical training, actually, what we call the Special Attachment Program for Timorese officials to see firsthand what the situation really is on the ground, logistically and substantively. And if all goes well for the upcoming summit, we will have another group, another batch or cohort, which will proceed to Malaysia approximately for a period of 1 month to see before, during, and after. Because, after joining ASEAN, I guess the next thing that Timor-Leste will be aspiring is to chair ASEAN, and therefore, host a summit when their turn comes. So these are all natural progression for a country that is going to become a member of ASEAN. You need to be prepared. You need to know what is expected. And as I mentioned earlier, end of the day, it all depends on your demonstration of will and the capability to integrate in the region.
And so with that being said, for the benefit of our viewers, what are the key requirements for a country who is seeking to to earn a ASEAN membership?
Well, primarily is geography, as I mentioned earlier. And if you look at the map, you will see that, it's definitely in the area. So I think the starting point is always geography. The next would be, a demonstration of will and capability to want to integrate regionally, to want to add value to the ASEAN family. And I think if these primary criteria are satisfied, the rest is all political. In ASEAN, the summit is the highest decision-making body, so the leaders will have to reach a consensus to admit a country into ASEAN.
And redirecting our focus back to Timor-Leste, what do you think are the main benefits for Timor-Leste that we can expect as a new ASEAN member?
Well, as a young country, Timor-Leste has a lot of catching up to do. I think ASEAN provides it with a platform through the ASEAN mechanism, through the regional mechanism, for it to be involved in many facets of country's administration and management. Let it be, connectivity, let it be power, let it be culture, let it be defense. So I would think the biggest, benefit for Timor-Leste is that, you join ASEAN, community with a population of close to 700 million. There in itself, you will see a vast market to encourage you to also produce and to export. And aside from that, in terms of capacity building, again, there will be so much spin-off effects because you will have, people training, people learning, people, integrating within the ASEAN region. So I foresee a lot of spillover effects for capacity, for know-how, for technical transfer of skills, so on and so forth. What more to add on to that? I think when you are a member of ASEAN, you get to interact with a bigger audience, and with a lot of meaning to it, because when people interact with ASEAN, they know they are interacting with the third biggest economy in the world. So it provides a lot of opportunities. My hope for Timor-Leste is what is going to happen post October 26 when you exit to ASEAN. Is you need to look at ways and means how you can optimize the benefits of your membership in ASEAN. So for that, you will need a civil service which is in the know, eye on the ball on what needs to be done, how to negotiate, how to compromise, how to initiate a new initiative. And I think Timor-Leste is poised to do it well, because the country has done very well in hosting many meetings, many gatherings of international importance. This year itself, there have been half a dozen at least that I can count. So I think ASEAN will also tend to benefit from Timor-Leste's experience and interest and focus on areas such as development of fragile states. Very interesting to me. So I think it is a win-win situation. We now just need to get down to work.
Well, next month, October, marks Timor-Leste's ASEAN Focus Month. How significant do you think is this moment for the country's regional integration?
I think it is going to be a very celebrated event. I remember when Prime Minister Xanana Gusmao returned from the first summit in May. He was given a hero's welcome at the airport. And I was there, and I could feel the, how can we describe it? Feel the excitement in the air. It was a sense of achievement on behalf of on the side of the government, as well as on the side of the people, to have reached that stage where that in coming months you are finally going to make it to the finish line, and next month is going to be the finish line. So I would think that there will be, I'm sure there will be celebration in Dili. As much as we all know that there is a lot of work to be done, but I think celebration is equally important to sensitize people. We need to bring ASEAN to the people, for people to understand what is the significance of this membership. So I foresee a very festive mood in the coming month.
Well, Mr. Ambassador, next week, on the 15th, if I'm not mistaken, Malaysia's news agency, Bernama, will be visiting Timor-Leste. And so what is the significance, do you think, of this visit?
Just as it is important to bring ASEAN to the people, the Timorese people, it is also now important to bring Timor-Leste to the people of Malaysia. So Bernama's visit here, a week-long tour of Timor-Leste, it will do precisely that. It is not just to look at areas of cooperation. Of course, that is one thing that we would like to see, greater or enhanced cooperation between the national news agencies of both countries. But at the same time, they will be interviewing people from a wide spectrum of wide strata of society. Let it be people who are involved in culture and arts, artists, let it be leaders, community leaders, political leaders, government leaders, so on and so forth. The idea is to give Timor-Leste a comprehensive coverage, so that we are able to bring this back to our viewers in Malaysia, for them to understand as well, the basis of, our enhanced assistance and cooperation to Timor-Leste, and most importantly, so that our people get to see, get to learn, of possibilities of them wanting to be involved in Timor-Leste's nation building. So I would think that is what Bernama is actually coming to do in in Timor-Leste next week.
Malaysia was the founding member of ASEAN, and with goals of advancing economic growth, social progress, and cultural development. So, do you think ASEAN has delivered on these promises?
I would say so. One of the most peaceful regions in the world. I think the ASEAN approach to handling disputes diplomatically through peaceful means, through dialogue, de-escalating the slightest issue, and encouraging the parties to come back to the negotiating table. I think ASEAN has done very well in that aspect to maintain this region as a region of peace. And yeah, to answer your question, yes, ASEAN has done well.
And another key goal, as you said, is to maintain peace and stability within the region. From your perspective, how well has ASEAN succeeded?
I would think if you look at the latest, happening between two ASEAN members, Thailand and Cambodia, I think as Chair Malaysia moved swiftly. And I think that is one of the principles that ASEAN holds on to, swift and prompt intervention needed to get parties to de-escalate, to cease hostility, come to the negotiation table. And I think our reputation as an honest broker is time-tested. So I would think we have done very well and within the ASEAN way of doing things.
In today's security landscape, how do ASEAN member states work together to strengthen mutual defense and cooperation?
Well, in the sphere of security cooperation, ASEAN, as you know, with many meetings. One very sectoral, very specific one is the ASEAN Defense Ministers meeting, the ADNM, where all the ministers of defense are involved. And when we have another enlarged ADMM plus, that also involves our dialogue partners. So through these various platforms, we've been able to keep ASEAN members engaged to address emerging issues, and I think most important to encourage capacity building, which we have done well.
And finally, Mr. Ambassador, what is your message for the people of Timor-Leste as the country steps into the ASEAN family?
My message to our Timorese friends would be to embrace ASEAN full-heartedly, to now look at ways and means of using ASEAN membership to address certain issues in Timor-Leste. One of it is productivity. The other one is implementation. Many things in Timor-Leste hit a snag or hit a speed barrier when it comes to implementation. I think ASEAN in itself, naturally, if you embrace ASEAN, you will understand that the emphasis that is placed on implementation of decisions, follow up, follow through. So I would think you have come this far. There's much, the road to be traveled is much longer. The place is now Timor-Leste, and the time is 2025 for Timor-Leste to fully press that, step on the accelerator and towards the greater nation building that Timor-Leste needs to undertake.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador, for being with us today and sharing your valuable insights on the whole matter of ASEAN.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
We look forward to seeing Malaysia and Timor-Leste continue strengthening their partnerships as Timor-Leste anxiously waits to take its place within ASEAN. This is Dalan ASEAN. I'm Digna Saraum, and with today's team, we thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time on the next segment of Dalan ASEAN.